Welcome, everybody, to History Lessons. I'm your host, the journalist Sin-seer. Today we have legendary member of the Poor Righteous Teachers Culture Freedom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, my brother. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're here today to talk about your new album, Laminar Flow. But before we do that, a lot of people may not know that you were into producing a lot earlier on, digging in the crates as well as DJing. So let's take it back a little bit and work our way up to this new project. Just talk a little bit about your love for digging and some of the earlier spots and what you were looking for as far as records go.
Oh, so in the earlier days, I started out beatboxing for a group named the God Squad, and there was a group of brothers. They was maybe like I would say like 3 or 4 years older than myself, but I had got a little bit of a reputation for beatboxing. So when they would do certain shows or when they would be out on the block, whatever, doing their routines, they would have me come over and beatbox for them. And then, after that, one of the brothers named Glorious Mathematics, aka Unique, he had took over the DJ spot for the God Squad. So we would go over his house, and he had the whole setup, the turntables, all of that, and he had a Lindrum, and it played beats backwards and all of that. And I was introduced to Tony D through him and another brother named Rocksteady, who was a DJ. And one day behind the junior high school, we all met up, and Tone was there, and they traded off drum machines. Tone traded him for a 909, and he traded Tone, gave him a 909, and he gave Tone the Lindrum. And I think when you hear the Poor Righteous Teachers theme on the Holy Intellect album, you hear that Lindrum playing the joint back to back. I mean, backwards. And from there, I was like, I need to get my own set. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is. You go with people's house and you trying to get on their drum machine or their turntables, and they like, nah. You can't really get your groove going. So I said, all right, man. Being a young guy, I was like, man, I got to get my own stuff. So I end up getting my own turntables, and then I was messing with the rolling equipment for a while, like the 626, the 505, and all of that other stuff. And then I would use my man 909 sometimes. Me and Wise made a joint called Order in the Court, and a couple other joints that we made off of that at my crib. And then, we bumped into Tone, and Tone was doing the sampling thing. You know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
bumped into him again, and by this time he was doing the sampling thing. So we was like, whoa, you could take that stuff and do this and do that. And he was like, yeah. So when we did the first two songs with him, which was Time to Say Peace and Word is, it was a song we had, Word is Bond. I mean, a Word is Life.
Mm.
No, wait a minute. We had Word is Bond was first, man. What am I talking about? Word is Bond was first. And we went in the studio and we gave him the record for Time to Say Peace. He chopped it up, looped it, and then he brought in the song for Word is Bond. And we was like, man, this funky. So after that, my uncle, he had a mad collection. He used to listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire and all this other stuff. Everybody got that uncle, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he was like, listen, I got some records, so I can bring it by the house. And he brought me by the records, and I'm listening to all the stuff from my childhood, stuff my mom used to play and all that. So I'm like, okay, this is what it is. So that's what started me on my pursuit, after more and more records, you know what I mean? And then when Shah joined the group, he was a big time digger, so we would dig all the time, man. We would go to Plastic Fantastic over there in Pennsylvania. We would go to the Record Collector in Pennsylvania. We would go to the Roosevelt record shows in New York. We would see Q-Tip and all the other producers there digging and trading with collectors. We would go to Big Beats. We would go to 40th Street Jazz in Philly. So we would go all over, man, and whenever we did a show, no matter where it was, we would land there. And the first thing we did, if we had some time, we'd find a record store to do some digging. And, if the radio station was slipping, we'd be looking through their stuff. So, we know they had mad stuff. Sometimes they would let us have a record or two. But I remember vividly when we landed in Texas one time, and Shaw found the record spot. You know what I mean? And we went through there, and it was my first time getting a pair of the Jackie Jackson drums and Brethren. I was looking for the Brethren drums and the Jackie Jackson drums for a long time. If anybody remember Date Rape, you know, by Tribe Called Quest, them classic drums that was hitting in them. That was the, you know, the Jackie joints, and then the Brethren joints, Electric Relaxation, those joints, and then I think Biz used them for What Comes Around Goes Around. It just had that boom, 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 and then the Date Raid joints, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, man, when I got them, I was like, man, I'm ready.
Right.
And, all the rest of the stuff I had off was off break beats. Most of the stuff I had, and but then Shaw started hitting me to all the rock stuff, and it was like, man, I would just dig for hours and days, man. You know, he'd be looking for me, and I already be at the record store sometimes. You know, I used to just go with him, but you know when you got the bug, when you won't even go with your teacher. You know what I mean? He's like,
Right.
where you at? I'm down in the basement somewhere, man, digging, and we found a lot of original joints, man. Like, you know, and it started to be so much just being around him, we could hear almost anything somebody used, and we knew exactly what it was. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like where they got the hi hat from, where they got the snare from. If they took a snare from over here and put it with this over here, we'd be like, nah, that's that impeach the president snare with the Wawa man kick. You know, you would know because we were looking for records with distinctive sound to them. You know, and that's what's dope about it, man. Because in that studio that day, let's say for instance, it was something from Stax, it had a certain kind of sound to it. You know, the Motown sound, it had a certain type of sound to it.
Right.
So you knew the drums had character to them. You couldn't imitate it, man. You know, because a lot of the drums that came with a lot of the drum machines, they sound mechanical. You know, so we would look for that stuff. It sounded like live drummers. You know what I mean? Like when Tip used the drives joints for Can I Kick It? You know, with Lonnie Liston Smith, you know, we was like, man, you know, he slowed them down. We would always listen to see how different producers would use, the drums and stuff like that, man. And we would like, okay, they did that. Well, we gonna do something different. You know, we gonna use them in a different way. And it was crazy, you know, like the Baby Huey story. You know, they mixed that with the Lonnie Liston Smith drums, and we was like, okay, they did that. All right, so we gonna do, and then we would hear stuff we use. And it was funny because, you know, we knew it. Sometimes they took it from our records because the drums that was in the loop wasn't the original drums. You know what I mean? We
Right.
got the drums from somewhere else. So, you know, it'd be like, okay, you know, they flipped it. It's whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, back then it was like beat makers wanted the credit. You know what I mean? Like taking it from somebody else's record and using it was one thing. You got to do whatever you got to do, I guess. But we just wanted the credit of being able to kind of dig and find it and stuff like that, like the Blind Alley drums and stuff like that. We wanted to actually be in possession of those records and those breaks so we could take it and chop it, slow it down. We can stack it, you know, stacking drums. Like we would take a 909 and tuck an 808 in underneath it. You know what I mean? For that extra bottom and stuff like that. Or if you had some drums that sounded a little flat, you know, putting an 808 up under it to give it a little bit more bounce. So there was certain techniques that Shy would show me. Tone, I learned a little bit from listening. You know, Tone flipped some original drums, that I hadn't heard before.
Right.
Like the Fifth Dimension joints for Black Business. You know what I mean? And then he put that boom, 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 doom, doom, cat, cat. And he put that in here. He put that part in here himself, that little cat, cat. So if I heard that, I was like, okay, that's Tony. You put little booby traps and stuff, but we knew what it was. And with Shy, man, it was just like countless drums and stuff like that, man. And then it would always be a challenge for me to come up with something that he didn't have before. And when he'd be like, "Oh man, let me get them," I'd be like, oh, "Okay, that's a fine. That's a dope fine." Because if he's asking me for them, that means is a dope fine. It was a couple times, man. I found some joints, man, that was just nice, man. And yeah, yeah. And when you're making a track, depending on the loop, you got to put the perfect drums in that joint, man. And that's what gave it the character, putting those perfect drums in there. So yeah, that was kind of the history of it, man. And I haven't been digging in a minute because I kind of stacked up a little bit, but I haven't been out in a minute, man. But I still got passion for it, man.
Right. Would you say Father Shahid was the instrumental in making you find your sound, or were you working mostly by yourself, or were you guys coming together?
He I say he did it indirectly. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want my stuff to sound like his. And back then biting still was a big thing, especially somebody like in your group. You know what I mean? It was like, nah, I can't do that because he's laboring to come up with his sound and his style. And I just had respect for him not to kind of steal his sound. You know what
Right.
I mean? What I learned from him was, don't be lazy with your chops. You know what I mean? When you don't have your loops jumping off and all of that. I mean, depending on the sample, it might sound dope if it's jumping a little bit, but make smooth transitions between your horns and your bass lines and stuff like that. Just because you sampling it doesn't mean that there's no art in it. So that's what I learned from him is just his programming was crazy. You
Right.
know what I mean? And just even on like what he did on the Nobody Move joint. You know
Mm.
what I mean? When you hear that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like with the way it came in, man. To me, Shahi was another Jay Dilla or something like that, man. He just had not been, he just didn't have his big moment yet. You know what I mean? With
Right.
joints like, he did for Rakim, the 18th letter and stuff like that, man. He was, and then his DJing on top of it was crazy. You know what I mean? He was one of the only guys I knew that could like battle a DJ.
Mm.
Could like, like say for instance, the situation which took place with Scratching them that time when KRS Battle came, Shaw would have gladly stepped up to that challenge. You know what I mean? Because he was a real DJ, like DJ, and producer at the same time. So I learned a lot from him. You know what I mean when it came to that. So that's why I would do stuff like Wicked Every Time. If you hear the Wicked Every Time track or the None Contest or For the Love of This on the New World Order joint, the Culture Freestyles. I did that track. I was freestyling on. So I would make sure I took the Rare Earth drums, chopped them up, and he'd be like, "All right, kid, I see you." you know,
Right.
and, and it was just trying to, and that was the challenge for me when I say indirectly. I was trying not to sound like nothing he did, even if it wasn't doper, just as long as it sounded like me, because that's the thing back then. It was like trying to have a sound where that if it did pop, people identified you with that sound. Let's say, for instance, Timberland. When he was doing that double pat on his kick, that pat tat tat tick tick tat tat tat, or the Neptunes when they had that boom boom boom. You know what I mean? That was like their signature in the joints.
Right.
On songs like "Give It to Me," you know what I mean? That dan 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 boom boom boom, and the stuff with the guitar. So it was their sound. So much so Jay-Z even said, the Neptune sound. So if
Right.
somebody wanted that sound, they would come to you, and then we tried to practice integrity a little bit back then. So it's like, I want that sound, let me go to the Neptunes. Or I want that sound, let me go to Kanye. I want that sound, let me go to Timberland, or let me go to Pete Rock. Or Premier, because Premier, Pete Rock, and them, they all have their own signature sound. You know what I mean? And for me, I had a little bit of ragamuffin thing going on, like with songs like Babylon that's on the Laminar Flow album. You know what I mean? And just blending a little bit of playing into my stuff. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you dig and you don't find what's in your head. So, I would incorporate some of my own, playing and stuff like that into the track. And so yeah, man, he inspired me in a lot of ways as a beat maker. And the funny thing about it, man, I remember when he used to run with some of the guys from Beat Miners sometimes. Like my man Walt, Baby Paul, and brothers like that. I remember I came to his crib one time. Paul was over there, and Shy was a whiz, man. You know what I mean? And Paul was nasty. No, enough respect to Baby Paul and all them over there at Beat Miners. But there was a couple of guys that Shy really liked, and you know, uh, obviously he liked Pete a lot and stuff like that. So people had their own little thing, man, and that's what was so crazy about it. When you was digging, you was trying to find the next big find, the next dope sample, the next thing that would change hip hop, and that's what was so dope about it.
Right. Throughout PRT's discography, did you have any solo placements, or were you mostly a co-producer on some of the projects?
What do you mean, like just songs that I did myself?
Right.
Um, yeah. So the first joint I did was None Contest. I did None Contest for Wise, and then I did. So on this record right here was an independent project that Wise put out. Let me see if I can get that in here.
Yeah.
It's called Tu Shun Pang, and he did this with Contract Records out of Contra Hawkins, Pennsylvania, and I did that. It was like a reggae joint that everybody likewise would perform it at shows. Tu Shun Pang. I don't think folks knew I did that track. Um, what else? I did the joint which we did with the Fugees, the Allies track. I produced that track.
Okay.
Um, I actually originally produced it and wanted to get Brother J from X Clan on it.
Mm.
So I was like, wow, this would be dope with Brother J from X Clan. And then we had got a link to Wyclef and them, and I was like, that's true. That'll be dope too. So
Wow.
we went by their crib. We went down to Booger Basement. We was all down there. Me, Wyclef, Praz, Shahi, all us. We down there, and me, Clef, and some other kid. I can't remember his name. I think he rhymed on the Score album. That joint. If I was a guy in something, everyone take me away. Don't be upset. I wasn't put here to stay. We was all down in the basement, man. Me, him, and the guy got to a freestyle kind of a thing, and I don't think Clef knew that I was freestyling like that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And, yeah, me and him. So it started out with all three of us, and then me and Clef just kept going back to back. Lawrence over there laughing. But it was dope, man. And then after that, we sent out the track. We went by a studio uptown and we recorded that. But that was one of the songs that I did. I did a lot of stuff on our independent record we put out with Exit 7A. Some of the stuff is online. I did a joint called Just Live. Can You Feel It? Uh, and then on the flip side of the joint, I Swear to God, I did a track called This Lie. And it was crazy because it had almost like a techno feel. I was the guy that would do some of the stuff that, you know,
Right.
and people like, oh, you did that. Because I just wanted to do what I wanted to see what I could do. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I remember just making beats. And then if it didn't sound a certain way, it didn't sound like some boom bap stuff, I would just erase it. If I felt like I was going in the wrong direction. And one day my wife was like, nah, don't do that.
Right.
you know, don't do that. Save that joint. That was moving. You know
Right.
what I mean? So I remember I did that dun 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 boom boom boom, and I just finished it out and I brought it by Wise Crib. He was like, yo, you know what I mean? And he got on it and he did the joint This Lie on that. And then the New World Order I did For the Love of This. Um and what else? Yeah, that and Wicked Every Time and stuff like that. Cause sometimes I would hook stuff up and put a few sounds in it and be like, man, I don't think I should touch it no more.
Right.
And that's one thing as a producer, knowing when you touching the track too much.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got too much stuff in it. I remember when we went by Shy Crib and he played the Miss Ghetto joint off the new or out of me. He had all, because he was real like perfectionist type dude. And
Mm-hmm.
he had all kinds of stuff in there, but we just heard that. And me and Wise like, oh, that's hard right there. But we was like, so he stripped the joint down. He stripped the whole beat down right there, took all the other stuff out, and just did what you hear now in the joint.
Right.
So, before that, it was moving, and then he had this other stuff, and we was like, nah, man, that right there, that's piercing, and he stripped it down and hooked it up, man. So yeah. And
Oh,
then 144K was one of the ones we co-produced, me and Shaheed, from some joints I had. And then the real ish, um, um, that joint right there, me and him, we did that joint one day, actually to perform at a show that we was doing in our hometown at the park. They was having something out there at the park, and me and Shaw was at home, and we just start working on that track. And I was like, man, I got a rhyme for that. We gonna do it tonight, just something new.
right.
And we rocked over it a little bit, and then we decided to get Wise brother Power Israel Shabazz, this guy named Don Black. At the time, his name was Black Prince. He worked on some joints with Doo Wop. He was a part of Doo Wop Click.
Bounce,
Um, and
bounce,
I'm sorry.
bounce squad.
Yeah, he was down with the Bounce Squad. Don Black. He was from Trenton, New Jersey. He was from another project on the west side of Trenton, called Roger Gardens. And he's been nice since he was maybe like a few years younger than us, but he was always nice. And I was like, man, here's an opportunity to get all these guys together. So I called him up, linked up with him, brought him in, and we did that track. My man Omar Superstar, he was a legend around our way. He was an older guy, and was always nice. So I always wanted to work with him. So that was the perfect opportunity, to kind of to round up the dirty dozen,
Right.
and take them in the studio. And it was a good night, man. Everybody got off, so it was real dope, man. And then stuff like Easy Star.
Mm.
Easy Star came about. The one dude, Lego Man. His brother, his older brother, I went to junior high with him. And it's funny because the whole thing, did Jamaicans have an impact on hip hop and all this other stuff.
Right.
So we had to be like 13 years old when I met him, and he came to school. He had shoes on and all that, you know. But once the culture hit both of us, really when you hit junior high, things change, right? And we checking out the b-boys and all this other stuff. We like, man, we gotta switch up a little bit.
Right.
And man, it was funny because he was trying to rock his shoes like they was a pair of Adidas or something. He loosened the shoestrings in the shoes. He was fresh from Jamaica, you know what I mean? I said, nah, bro, you gotta get some actual sneakers. You can't
Right.
have your shoes all busted up like that. You know? And he was a real cool dude, man. So one day we were sitting in class, and he was letting us hear him chat. He was telling us about the music over there, and he was chatting. We was like, yo, that's hard. So ironically, once we did what we did, I was like, yo, I'm gonna get him in the studio with us. You know what I mean? To chat on some stuff. So we kicked it because he lived right next door to my aunt on the west side of Trenton.
Mm.
So I was like, yo, I'm gonna come by, I'm gonna get you. So I said, be here at this time. So I came by, he wasn't there. Nobody knew where he was at. We already had the studio time booked. And his younger brother was Lego Man. And he was in there and he was chatting actually that day down the basement on the sound. So I said, yo, let's go. I said, yo, you want to be on this joint? He was like, yeah. I said, I got the studio time booked. We got to get this joint done. And I was like, hit Long Man up. Long Man was another guy I went to high school with him. So it was like, all right, let's go. So they bounced through the studio. We played the tracks. First we did Just Serving Justice. And he was like, wow, I'm Lego Man. What I going on? Long Man. PRT, them runs things every time. They just kind of talking on the track.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, man, that's it. So Tone turns on the track to boom, 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 boom. And he was like, oh, yes, this the one.
Right.
So, they did like 4 or 5 passes, man. We was like, we got enough. You know
Right.
what I mean? They was just getting warmed up in that joint, man. We was like, nah, we got enough. So, that's how we came up with that joint. And we just it was just how it sound, man. It was like a party on that track.
Right.
So that was just stuff like that, man. I was kind of like a Swiss Army knife, just whatever needed to be done. But production, what I started to go gravitate more to, you know what I mean?
Right.
And just fillers here and there, and then on the vocal with Wise, um, stuff like that. Yeah,
Right.
I know that was a long answer,
No,
but
it's all good. Yeah. I discovered a rapper named Ikey and discovered also that you produced for this person. Can you talk about who he was and how you got on his project?
so Aki, he is the cousin of our first DJ, one of the first dudes we had down with as DJ, or should I say? Because originally I was DJing and producing for the group, but once we start doing the joints, people heard them and they was like, "Yo, Coach, I like you on the mic, coming in and out with Wise, doing all of this stuff," and we was like, "Word." So my man, he was coming through sometimes. He was bringing records, and we was kind of up in my room, just messing around, listening to stuff, and that's how he ended up down with us. But before we could actually get a deal or whatever, he kind of went his own way. We went our own way. But his cousin name was Keith Moreland, and his name was Mark Moreland, and he would come around rhyming all the time, like, "Yo, Coach, you need to put me down, man. You need to put me on the track." And he starts, how they do, start spit rhymes or whatever. And I was like, "All right, man, that sounds good." I was like, well, get some stuff together so we can go in the studio and we could do it. You know what I mean? Because you have so many people wanting to go in the studio, but they either wasn't ready. They wanted me to pay for it, and I'm like,
Right.
you gotta be ready to go if that's what you want to do. Because that's how Culture Freestyles came about. I brought a cat in the studio to rhyme over the track, and he just wasn't ready.
Mm,
He's like, and he really didn't know we didn't do all of the smoking and all of that other stuff. We recorded we recorded dry. You know what I mean? We went in
right.
there and just vibed out for the love of it. And he was like, "Man, you don't, what I mean, I need to get there, man. I need to get in the mood." I'm like, "Yo, bro, time is ticking." And this was on the New World Order joint. So I was like, "Yo, plug the mic up." And that's how I came. Boom, then bip, yo, I came to rip, shoot my gift, but I don't have to puff on any spliff. It's just the raw talent, And I start going on that. Shy, he's loving it. Shy was that type of dude. He's like, yeah, yeah, let's keep it. Let's do. We'll find something to do with it. So
Right.
that's how that came about. But when my man Aki, he linked up with this other brother who was interested in him. And I said, "Listen, let me take him and I'll produce a record on him. As long as he come in, he do what do what he need to do." And that's how we came up with that and start working with him. We went in this guy named Troy Wonderboy studio. He's the guy who did the Gods Are Taking Heads track for us and King's Son. His name was Troy Wonder. He was down with another crew. And we went to his studio and we recorded about 6 joints, and the 3 you heard is the one that got on it. We picked those 3: Life and Love, Rock On, and Sky's the Limit. I called Wise up. I was like, come through, do this hook for me. And yeah, and Shahi did the scratches in on Rock On and uh, um, Life and Love.
So,
So anything I would do, I would always try to pull Shy in on it. You know what
right.
I mean? If he was doing something, I was like, come, because I always trust his ear. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I would bring him in, but yeah, that was how that came about. We put that out on a label that I helped him and his man start their label.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm going to help you get the thing done. It was this girl, she worked up at Profile Records in the art department. She did the cover and all that for me. So, I just wanted to, get them on, man. That was always like a dream of mine, man, is to get on and to help some guys I grew up with or in the neighborhood get their shot and he was one of the guys that I produced in that area. And a couple guys from Philadelphia, guy named Grand Agent, and Ozzy. They had a group called Name. Um, Grand Agent had a lot of stuff out on radio. Underground guy, real
Hmm.
nice, from Philly, and another guy named Stinkfest from Camden. I was doing joints with him, and I was just moving around, man. You know, because when you're doing all those beats, you want to hear them complete. You want to hear something on them. And I wasn't really charging the guys nothing. I just said, be ready to go in the studio, and have some money, you know
Right.
what I mean? And we'd go in there and we'll knock it out, So it ended up, those joints end up turning out to be some classics, some of the best work I ever did,
Right.
just trying to get stuff done just for the love of it.
Right. Did any of your production end up on like a major label artist and, just never came to fruition?
Nah, man. So that's what we was looking to do with the New World Order joint. You know what I mean? The New World Order is the first record we did with no production from Tony D. You know what I mean? And it was the first time we collaborated with other producers too, like Clark Kent from Superman, him and his team. They came over. KRS One did the track for Conscious Styles, and so I think that was like one of the first album we really had, like, other Miss Jones was on it, the Fugees was on it, so it was the first time we actually like collab with other people like that, and it just so happened that the label folded and sold. You know what I mean? I don't want to say they folded, but they just sold the label, put it like that, and it kind of put a halt to what me and Sha was doing for a little bit, doing the recording of the New World Order album. The Superman picked Sha up as a producer. You know what I mean? They liked what he was doing, and they asked him to be down with him, and he, I was like, "Yo, man, go ahead." You know what I'm saying? Do your thing.
Right.
And he got down with them, and then eventually him and Peter started Fugitive production team, and he did it. He worked on a few projects, but before that, um, yeah, we was just I was just waiting for my chance. You know what I'm saying? Just playing my part, waiting for my chance, because I knew I had the production. I just waited for my chance. I did, like I said, most of the guys I did was up and coming artists, like my man Lux and Ruffian from Philadelphia. He had a song called Why, and I did like three or four joints for them. So it was a bunch of stuff that I was doing that people was about to drop. You know
Right.
what I mean? And they put those out on Exit 7A. It was the same label we helped start it with Rap Snacks. Through this guy I knew, coming up. He introduced me to James Lindsay. I introduced him to Wise and them, and then that's how that came about. But and we end up forming that label. But yeah, I had stuff, man. I was shopping around, but wasn't what you knew, it was who you knew. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I was in that circle, but folks be like, I know this guy, I grew up with this guy, and I'm gonna take these beats.
Right.
Kind of a thing. So, I was like, I think if the record would have got more push, we did more interviews on it, then it would have been more opportunities once people found out that I was doing production like that. I don't think too many people knew
Not at
that
all.
that I was doing production like that. But like I said, I was still moving around when I got down to Tennessee. Let me see what I got here. I worked on this with a guy named from Philly named Mark Madison. We did the hand-to-hand combat joint. I did a song on there called "Get Your Mind Right" and a joint called "For What." I produced that for them on that one. And like I said, with the joint from Exit 7A, which is this joint right here, this was really like our fifth release. It was our independent release. And let me see. I did Can You Feel It? Just Live, um, This Lie, a bunch of other joints. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just a matter of time, man. I still got joints now, man, but I got all kind of stuff going on right now. So,
Right.
I mean, I sent some joints out to a couple artists, man. I'm still waiting. I won't put them out there like that. You know what I mean? No
Right.
pressure.
Right.
Just listen to the joints, listen to the beats. They're hard. I think, and that's one thing I think one of my strengths was is kind of hearing certain artists to the track.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Not just handing them the beat, but like, okay, I was more like I strategically like I believe this joint like the Allies track we did with the Fugees. I was like, I can hear us and them on this kind of track.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I don't know if it makes sense or not, but I was like, I'm not so concentrated on, like the track itself, but how well everything gels together. The track that is, because you can have a dope track and you can put this artist on it, but it just don't mesh. Like
Right.
for some reason, that ain't the right artist for that beat, even though the beat is dope and the rhymes are dope. So I would concentrate more on like, do this go with that person? If
Right.
you get what I'm saying.
Right.
So I think that's what makes a successful record is just having fun and just pairing the right stuff together.
Right. Well, you got a new project out called Laminar Flow. Talk a little bit about the creative process.
Oh, so with the Laminar Flow, like I said, I did a solo record called Tools of the Trade, and I had a bunch of songs from that, and then I had songs that I was collabing with people on. One was my man Grand Agent again from Philly on a song called Whatever. I was actually working with him on his project, and then I produced the song with him, Grand Poobah, and one of the brothers from they had this song 93 until this is how we chill from
Souls,
93 until what's that?
Souls of Mischief.
Souls of Mischief, exactly. Souls of Mischief. So it's one of the brothers from Souls of Mischief, him and Grand Poobah on a track that I did. And we hadn't released that one yet. I got to see what he want to do with it because I produced it for his project. But during the course of that, I sent him over the beat for with whatever, and I was like, man, me and you, we should get on this track together because I had did some joints for his partner called Get Off They Tip and some other joints that I did that was real hot in the Philly area for a while. So I had success with that record. So I was like, let me see what I could do with him. And because they was like yin and yang. He had this man Ozzy had a real playful style, and
Mm-hmm.
then his style was real like serious, bar heavy. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do on this track. So I put my verse on it, stuff, sent it to him. He sent it back, singing and stuff on it. And he was like, man, you should. I said, nah, we should leave it just how it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't like touching, fixing stuff if it ain't broke. So we did that. And then some of the other joints I did with my man Neff 150. He grew up partially in the project that I did in Trenton, New Jersey. He moved to Georgia. So I had did the song back and I shot a video for it in Georgia in this tunnel in this downtown area. And he saw the very video and he hit me. He said, man, I didn't know you were still doing. I said, yeah, I'm still doing stuff. So he was like, he wanted to do something with me. And we did like one track in the joint For the Gods. And he sent me that. I spit on that. And then I went to Atlanta to my man DJ Pocket crib, his studio to record it over because I don't whatever happened with the track, it just went when I went to go mix it, it wasn't gelling right. So we went there to record it over, and when we did that, he hit me with a few more tracks and stuff like that. So I was like, I was just writing to him, man. It was around COVID time and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like everybody's in the house. So I'm like, I'm trying to find ways to keep my mind from just drifting off, so start writing and me and him was just doing songs, sending them back and forth to each other, and by the time I looked up, we had about 10 or 11 songs done, and he ended up passing over COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, he had pre-existing conditions, and just I hadn't heard from him in like a week, because he would hit me up at least once a week, and we was talking about doing a video for one of the song, that heat, the song on there that's called That Heat. And when I hit him back, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm in the hospital and stuff." I was talking to him. I said, "Man, well, maybe you shouldn't talk too long on the hospital, because you know that COVID stuff is a respiratory, have a lot to do with your respiratory system." And I was like, "So maybe you shouldn't talk so much." He was like, "Yeah, they're trying to bring this fever down so they can send me home and all this stuff." And man, I get a call, I think it was like the next day, wasn't even that long, the next day, from somebody in Jersey telling me that, he didn't make it. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And we rocked together though, man. Once, this guy down here, he got a show called Mint for the Milk Crate.
Mm.
His name is Al D, and he came down here with me one day, man, and we performed. We performed that song and a couple other songs, but he was just hitting me up, sending me joints. He was a real genuine guy. Um, he had a great work ethic. I could send him a track. He put a verse on it, send it back. I put mine on it. It was a real easy process working with him. That's how we got so many songs done. And when he passed, I was like, man, what am I going to do with this stuff? You know what I mean? If I put it out and then somebody like it, how am I going to perform it? Because it's just going to be, if they like his part, then I'm on it. People have their favorite verses and stuff like that.
Right.
I was just like, man, so I was like, I want to. So what I did was I took some songs that I did and I just meshed them all together. You know what I mean? To make sure that people was able to hear the work we did together and stuff like that. So I just released it like that. And with some other joints that I did, like I said, with my man Grand Agent, some of the other ones that I did that wasn't a part of the first project I did. So I just mushed them all together. Then I took one or two tracks off of that record and just put it together, because I was like, I can't just let those songs we did just sit like that.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I came up with the Laminar Flow. And I was watching this thing one time, and it was explaining what laminar flow was, and how water or liquid, when it's flowing, but it looks still. It looked like nothing is not happening, but it's actually flowing, and you don't know it until you put your finger or your hand or put a stick in it or something. You see that it's actually flowing. And I was like, I like that, because a lot of times people don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
They think that Culture Freedom in that house. you know,
Right.
that's me joking. You know what I'm saying? That's me joking, because a lot of I was that guy. You know what I mean? I would say I was a combination of RZA and ODB, coming up. You know what I mean? I wanted to produce and get stuff done and get out there, but I was about, making jokes and not sitting around and being bored and stuff like that. So that personality bled on to the Poor Righteous Teachers records. You know what I mean? It's just me and Wise hanging out. And it started out as something we was playing around doing, and then he started writing it into it, and we started kind of working it up. And I think we got so much into that the stuff I actually do got lost. Got lost in there, a little bit, because I'm thinking this guy know, this person know, and people around my way, they know, but the importance of the industry knowing, you know what I mean? The importance of people, outside of our immediate circle knowing that, that's what's up. And I think the same thing was for Shy, you know what I mean? For so long, I mean, he taught a lot of people, like the legendary DJ Juice, out of with all the mixtapes. Him and Shy used to run together before he actually got down with us. And I just hear stories all the time about all stuff they learned, even about DJing from him. So we was just trying to get some of that to surface. You know what I mean? Like, for people to know, okay, well, these guys back here, you know, they're doing this or that. But by that time, people were so used to our sound being a certain way, and we've heard of groups, like just messing their whole thing up, trying to change the sound too soon.
Right.
I mean, people like what Tone was doing. We liked it, so we was like, okay, let's make a smooth transition from him doing it. So that's why on the Black Business album, that's when we actually started incorporating some of our stuff in there. We still kept Tone doing some tracks, but like I said, I did None Contest. Shahi did Get Off the Crack, 144K, Nobody Move, and stuff like that. So we didn't just change the sound overnight. We kind of slowly went into New World Order,
Right.
because Tone was working on other projects. He had other artists that he was working. He had his own deal with Profile and Island Records. So it was time for us to start doing some of the more of the production, and letting less of the production go out the door. When we had the talent to do it. You know what I mean? It was just it's just time.
Right. The album dropped this month. What has the feedback been like so far?
Man, it's been good. Got a lot of pre-sales. And when it dropped, a lot of people, just real good responses to it. I think people are still kind of like, like you know what I mean? I think some folks is like, what are you doing? Because when people used to hearing stuff a certain way,
Right.
sometimes it take them a while to say, hey man, and I was like, and this response has been good, because for a long time I've had people saying, Culture, I want to hear a little bit more of you, do this and that and that. And so that's what that is. I mean, some people, I haven't heard anything negative. Let's say that. I don't know if they would, I don't know if they would say if they did, but I know when I hear something that's nice, you know what I mean? I'm not going to put nothing out just because I can, or just because we have somewhat of a following. I'm going to put it out. If I think it's good work, I'm gonna put it out, because I wouldn't want to kind of ruin our legacy by just throwing anything out there. So the response has been good, especially from Poor Righteous Teachers fans. But I know at the end of the day, they want to hear us.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's just like Wise. You know what I mean? He got a lot of stuff he want to do, ideals he want to do that don't always involve me. You know what I'm saying? And I got stuff that I want to do that don't always involve him. But at the end of the day, that's my brother. We made history together. We made some classic records. So I'm all down for performing that. As a matter of fact, we got something we're doing in Jersey next month at this Kwanzaa festival, and stuff like that. So we still link. We talk all the time. And but I think the right people have been responding to it. My man Jeff, the white boy who used to do some work for the Gym Class Heroes
Okay.
out of Pennsylvania, he did a remix to the Whatever track already. Like,
Oh,
what I mean? Like, I sent it to him a couple of days. He hit me right back with a remix to it.
so
So I think people have been saying it's hip hop. You know what I mean? Remind them of that 90s stuff. The boom bap, the gritty samples and stuff like that. And I'm going to be slowly releasing more joints and throwing more songs up there. I didn't want to put like a 24 song thing or something like that. So it's just a little taste, and then I got some other ones that I'm going to be putting up there as well.
so it's available on Bandcamp. Any plans for like physical releases, CDs, tapes, vinyl?
I've been talking to a couple people that would be able to aid in that process. I just got to come to that point and get to that point to where we do that. Because vinyl is the thing. Once again, people trying to get their hands on vinyl. I'm gonna see what they like, man. And then I know where I'm putting my buck at. If they because I don't want to press stuff up and then just have some coasters at the house. I'm trying to
Right.
have to melt them and make bowls out of them or something like that.
Right.
you know. But yeah, man. So just look for that, and then like I said, if people want to get any of this stuff right here, the stuff we did on Exit 7A, the independent stuff that I produced on there, just hit me up. I got a good amount of them. I don't have like an endless amount, but I got a good amount of them that I would like to share with other people if they want those joints on vinyl. This Lie, Just Live, and then there's some joints on there Shaw did, Losing My Religion, and all of that. I mean, there's some classic stuff on there. It's some classic stuff on there. So just hit me up, man, and I'll get it to you.
No doubt. Special shout out to Rock the Bells. They gave you a nice little shout out as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
My man Jaquan, the historian, he works in conjunction with, like you said, Rock the Bells and the National Hip Hop Museum. That's where I met him when we got inducted a few years ago. Um, just met up with him, man. I really didn't know like how deep he was and how much knowledge he had, man. He's got a wealth of knowledge of the hip hop industry and just different artists, their whole background, the whole 9 yards. I think he was a producer himself. He was doing some stuff at one point, and I just linked up with him, man, when we did that thing in Burlington, Vermont. Me, him, Jay Rue, the Damager, we was kind of on our way down to the pier, and we was just talking about hip hop history, what happened, and this, that, and all of that. And he was just dropping all these jewels. So I was like, I need to stay up with him and chat with him. And then somebody I know named Ada, DJ Ready Red, sister from the original Ghetto Boys,
Yeah, yeah.
she linked us up again after that. She did an interview and she had me on there. She had him on there, and we was just talking about the history of hip hop. And then after that, we exchanged numbers, and we kind of kept up ever since. I went through a few other inductions when they inducted Slick Rick and UTFO, all of them over in Georgia. Me and my wife went through there, and linked up with him again. And then when they did the induction for KRS-One in DC, we stopped by there on our way to Jersey, and we linked up again. So when I told him that I was going to drop the album, he was like, well, let me know when you drop it. I'm going to check it out and do a write-up on it. So he was a man of his word. When he heard it, he hit me up and let me know that that's what he was going to do. So that's how that came about. He's just documenting hip hop, as it unfolds.
Yeah,
Like yourself, man.
absolutely.
Just like,
Outside of that new project, what can we look forward to with Culture Freedom in the future?
I'm still looking for these battles, man, with all these chefs out there, man, all these guys out there, man. They don't want to have no fun. I'm like, come out and have some fun, man. Look, man, I ain't gonna try to take you down, man. I just want, let's get on there, let's mix it up, let's have some fun. Let's talk about food, let's talk about hip hop, let's talk about the impact that hip hop has had on food and all these other things, the food, wine. I mean, all of that, man, because, hip hop has been used to sell products, to endorse products. We talk about what we eat, what we do all day long, man. And my thing is like, hey, man, that's really where the longevity is, man. Finding different ways to diversify yourself, just finding different outlets for what you do. And man, food is like my, I don't know, my number three passion outside of ministering.
Right.
You might find me ministering here and there, man, bringing the word, breaking the bread of life, as I just did today, and that's what you'll find me doing, man, hanging out with my family, man. That's pretty much it, man. Um, I got some other things in store, plans to open up brick and mortar, so just taking my time, man, with that, and just trying to enjoy life, man. Let it come. Quincy Jones said something, man, and it kind of it caught me. He said that he never made music for money. He never produced music for money. He never did none of those things for money. He said, because when you do that, you lose the God element. God is not in it. And he was like, melody and all of that stuff that comes from God. You know what I mean? And I would have to agree with him on that because, having the ability to hear something or to see something and to turn it into art or to taste something and then taking it to the next level, all of that creativity comes from the God source. That's something working through you, and once you switch your focus to I gotta make money and you're doing this for money, man, it just then you catch hell. Cool DJ Red Alert, man, when we met him, because he's the one that helped us get our deal originally. He was playing the record enough to where somebody with profile heard this guy named Manny and was like, "What's that you keep playing with peace in it?" And he was like, "Poor righteous teachers, da 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 da," and that's how we end up getting on the deal with Profile through Red Alert. But when we met him, he was like, "Man, watch out for the three H's." And we was like, "What you talking about?" He said, "First it started out as a hobby, then a hustle, then you catch hell."
Mm.
you know, and the hobby sound better than me, like, because to me he was saying, man, it started out as something innocent where you're doing it because you enjoy it and you're having fun with it, and then you start trying to hustle it, and then after that you catch hell. And I was like, I'm the type where I don't have to experience something to learn from it.
Right.
If you giving me some jewels and you dropping some wisdom on me, I'm gonna listen and do the knowledge. And so when he said that, I was like, man, I want to make sure that I'm having fun with what I do, and
Right.
I have fun cooking. People see me on the trailer doing my thing, and they be like, "Oh man, what does it come to?" It's like, man, I'm having a ball. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? I'm having a ball, man, because I'm being creative, just like with the music. But now people, instead of listening to my art, they can taste it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and if they get some of these clothes right here, they can feel it. You know what I mean? They can put it on, and they can feel what it's like to be
Right.
coke free. You know what I'm saying? They
No.
can feel what it's like. So you get sight, taste, and feeling. You
Right.
know what I mean? And all that other stuff, man. So that's what it's about, man. Putting a smile on people's face, folks having fun, enjoying themselves, and I'm always looking for a reason to make somebody smile, man.
Right.
Have some fun, especially growing up in the projects and all that other stuff, man. When your man said handcuffed in the back of a bus, 40 of us, life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough. I know what that is, man. So to me, it's about having fun, man. It's about expressing yourself because when we return to the essence, all we have is what we did. So, man, do as much as you can, have fun, love God, love your family, man. And that's it for me.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Culture Freedom. Speaking of sight, taste, and feeling, let the people know where they can find all that according to Culture Freedom and your social media.
What's up, everybody? It's your man, Culture Freedom, hip hop's top chef, and I'll be with my beautiful wife, Tasha. Hey, listen, I'll be at TNT Fireworks between Murfreesboro Road and Waldron Road. You can come by there from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and see us, especially on Thursday. We'll be running our fish fry. On Friday, we'll be running our full menu. That's right. You can get hot chicken sandwiches, shrimp and grits, strawberry lemonade, fruit tea, banana pudding, peach cobbler, crisp, you name it. We got it just for you. Come on down and see us in Laverne, Tennessee. We'll be there, man. Come on down, holla at your boy.
No doubt, man. Making me hungry right now. And right now is dinner time for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or
I,
just hit us up on Instagram at Hip Hop's Top Chef, or hit me up on Culture Freedom PRT. Hit me up on there, man. Instagram. I'm on there all the time, bugging. Hit me up.
and before we get out here, let them know where they can catch that Laminar Flow at.
You can catch it on Bandcamp, man. Go on there, put in Laminar Flow, man. You'll see me. It'll be purpled out like this background. And yeah, man, hit up Culture Freedom, man, and then pull it up, man, and then listen to it. It gotta be a joint on there you like, man. You know what I mean? Just get one joint, man. One joint. You get one, man. Get
No
one,
doubt.
two, three, whatever you feeling, man. Pick it up. If you feeling it, man, you want to support, get the whole joint, man. You know what I'm saying? MCs are a terrible thing to waste.
Right. Any plans for?
Man, no tours right now, man. I'm looking for these. I see a lot of conscious tours going out, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's put the mascot for conscious rap on one of them tours. Poor righteous teachers, man. Come on now. Come
No,
on now, guys. Come on, guys. Do the right thing.
no,
Do
no
the right
doubt.
thing. PRT. Come on
Absolutely.
now. I can't say, he said, who loves you? Who loves the mass enough to strictly educate your A? PRT, man, the ultimate hip hop sacrifice. Come on, man. We
Absolutely.
see y'all, buddy. We see you.
We
All
got to make
right, call
that
us up, man. Let us come out there and do our thing. We'll be good.
2025. Let's make that happen, people.
All right, y'all.
That's the legendary Culture Freedom. I am the journalist Sin-seer. Let's keep in touch as always, Culture. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Let's do it again in the near future.
Shout out to your man, King Son. Can't forget him. Peace.
Peace. Shout out to King Son. See you again soon.
All right, man.
All right, salute.
Peace.
Peace.